and welcome to another episode of the Fan the Flames football podcast. This intro is not robbed by a teammate of mine, Kyle Griesinger, but the whole squad's here. I'm happy to have all three of you guys on the pod with me. We're going to get right into it with the Arkansas game. First, my thoughts, what I talked about on Sunday on the spaces. It was a very small Twitter spaces. We did have Zach Green. Shout out to Zach Green hopping on and giving his thoughts. And James was unable to make it. So this part is mostly for James as well to give his thoughts that we have not yet to hear. So again, 21-19, as I told Jeremiah and these guys just here, Jeremiah, James, Kyle, on Saturday, I was so flustered towards the end. I was like, oh no, here we go. Just because of our defense, as phenomenal as they've played all year, plus against Arkansas, you could tell that they were very, very tired. And it just seemed like, everything was starting to go Arkansas's way, despite how terrible their offensive line was still looking at that point. It just seemed like I was like, okay, here we go. And our whole defensive backfield just felt like they were just ready to have the game to be done and get it over with. And then it took a trio of, Kendi Charles, along with, of course, Steven Sings and Ahmad Walker to stop KJ Jefferson in the goal line.
Was it Kendi or Dennis?
It might be Dennis.
I thought it was Dennis.
Either way, both of them played out of their minds on Saturday. So, so that was great. Very happy for this team. JB again had a very solid game. Again, coach came out and kind of said that he was unsure about maybe going for the field goal compared to going for it on fourth down. I'm typically someone who will go for the win, but now since it feels like we're playing for something, even though we're not, it's like, man, I just want to get the points, especially when it came down to a 2-point game. Let's say, they do get those 2 points and you do win by those 3 points and you don't have to worry about anything but an onside kick, which they still had to worry about, obviously. But with all that being said, I was very pleased. I'm not someone who typically criticizes play calling, but I can a little bit in this situation just because of how second half with our offensive, it just didn't seem like we were clicking as much in the first half. And that might just be Arkansas with them being a SEC defense adjusting to an offense that is inconsistent at times, a lot of talent, and JB's continuing to develop, and I really see a lot of promise out of him and the potential that I had seen out of him and thought of him before the preseason. You're starting to see a lot of flashes of that and more consistency. However, with that being said, it was a good win, obviously, and does that win actually matter? We'll talk about that at the end of the podcast because we have some thoughts about a recent news that just came out. And I guess you guys can kind of see where that premise is going if you're listening right now. James, you're up because we did not hear your beautiful voice on Sunday. You were splish-splashing in a pool, or maybe you were playing billiards. I don't know.
Yeah. I am in the same boat as you just said. I felt like the first half went great. Obviously, I almost tweeted this, and I probably should have. I said my thoughts were I couldn't have imagined a better first half except where Day doesn't get hurt. Like they just played out of their minds. Like JB played well. The defense, like, goodness gracious, 3 points. Come on. And those 3 points were just on some fluke plays on the last drive. There's just great catches. So love the first half. Second half, I kind of didn't like the play calling. I've said this multiple times about the Falcons in the Super Bowl. When Kyle Shanahan was calling plays, they got passive and they started running. Like, that's why the Patriots were able to come back, and that's honestly why Arkansas was able to come back, because our defense was on the field a lot of the second half because we just ran the ball a lot, which I don't mind. I don't mind the thought behind it. I hate that once it didn't work, we didn't go back to how we were calling it in the first half. So am I mad that we did that? No, because we still got the win. Obviously, if we had lost, I'd have even worse feelings on it. But like, it just wasn't. It made me a little upset because, like, dang, now our defense is tired and now they're running up the score in the fourth quarter. Because realistically, our defense, even in the third quarter, played out of their minds. The only points they scored in the third quarter were 2 points on that blocked punt for a safety. So, like, our defense played well for 3 quarters of the game, and then they were just worn out. The defensive line, the whole game, like I said last week during the podcast with Zach and Chris, like, they were saying their offensive line was going to dominate, and it's like, I said, I don't think so. I think our D-line's that good. And they did all game, even on the last couple of drives. The issue was if they miss a tackle, KJ got outside the pocket and there was somebody open, or he was able to run because our secondary was just so tired they couldn't get there. So love the game defensively. Obviously, fourth quarter, it sucks, but I'm not going to complain because, like, they were tired and they still made the play that won the game. Like, Ahmad Walker, I think it was Dennis Osagadi and Steven Sings, like, stood the man up. Like, I love how they stood KJ up there and kept him out of the end zone. And then Bollinger with the onside kick recovery. It was fantastic. Going forward, I don't think I have any concerns really with how the defense played. I think I want to see the offense play a complete game again. But, like, I think my biggest concern is just Day. I don't think we've heard any news on him yet. So I'm just interested to see where everything goes.
Jeremiah, you were raising your hand like you were in class, so you're up next, my guy.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to comment on Day. I have some friends who are pretty close with him, and he was feeling pretty good on Sunday. I heard, and he went in. I think he got an MRI yesterday, the day before, yesterday, today. Can't remember which one, but he did go in for an MRI. I haven't heard anything. Any update on the MRI, but we'll see how it goes. So I think he was limping around, obviously, on Sunday.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know a whole lot. But, I mean, hopefully I'll hear something soon from my friends, and hopefully we'll have him back this week.
Yeah, Freeze's post-game press conference, or maybe it was the day after, I don't remember which, he mentioned that when they had taken him in for x-rays of the stadium, they were hoping it was an LCL strain, and nothing worse than that. So
Gotcha.
Either way, it sounds like probably going to miss a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, when you get carted off the field, it's probably something a little serious. Now, obviously, like, NLCL strains are like super serious, but it's like you still have to take your time back because it can be serious. So,
right.
Yeah, cool. And Jeremiah, what else do you have to add about the Arkansas game?
Not a whole lot else. I know I voiced a lot of my thoughts and opinions and concerns or whatever on the Twitter Spaces. It was a good game. James touched on a lot. Great first half. Defense played lights out. I agree with him on the concept of defense just kind of got worn down a little bit. Offense was playing well. Day goes out. We spluttered a little bit, but we got the dub. That's all that matters. In the end, we got the dub. Great stand-up, as James was saying. Great stand-up there at the goal line to avoid the 2-point conversion to tie the game, and we move on. So I'm super excited. I don't always say that. I'm super excited to see what's next, and just ready to go.
Kyle, put the bow on it.
Yeah, so I'll just mention a couple things we touched on in the Twitter space. I don't think everybody listens to those, but Jonathan Bennett had a great game. I still want to see more from him, to be perfectly honest. I mean, 60% completion rate. I want to see that tick up. In the BYU game, he was pushing 83%. Whereas, I mean, there's a direct correlation, or not a direct correlation, but there's a pretty strong correlation between how well the team does and JB's completion percentage. You look Arkansas, it's a game we win by 1. His completion percentage is at 1. You look Gardner Webb, another game we win by 1. His completion percentage is at 56.7. BYU 82.8. UMass 50%. ODU 77.8. So I want to see more of those results that are closer to 80% completion percentage, closer to 65, 70% or completion percentage at least. As much as we, especially with day out, especially with kind of us running on a compromised running game. I want to see more consistency, more mid-range passes that are high percentage, more of those kind of dump off screens, check down. Started feeling in the second half. I keep saying this over and over again, but it kind of felt like we were either running it up the gut for 3 yards in a cloud of dust, or we were trying to throw it 50 yards down the field. And I just like to see a little bit more of those, 6 yards and out kind of plays, give some guys some opportunity and space. So, like I said, still would like to see some improvement from JB, but I mean he's playing some of the best football he's ever played these last few games. So I like the direction, but I want to see more.
Yeah, I agree. I'll say my last thoughts as well. Just to add to you guys as well. I mean, you're right with JB. But what is promising is the fact that he didn't really drop much from what BYU was from the BYU game, especially when, here's the thing, it's his first start against an SEC team on the road. So you got to give him credit for that. You are valid in a lot of the criticisms that you do have of JB, and I know that yours don't come with any type of haste behind them. That's why we have you on this podcast. They're very constructive. With that being said, I agree with some of it as well. I was listening to, shout out to the Flame Central, and we've already shouted out this guy, you and I personally, Joe Yock. He talked about how this is 100% JB's job to lose, and I agree with him. But what's interesting, very, very interesting, is the fact that Caden was practicing yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So was Charlie. And I know Nate's been kind of QB4, but still, it seems like the whole quarterback room is healthy right now, and that's going to be interesting. I don't know what that's going to look like for this game coming up, and we're about to get into that right now. We talked about it on the Twitter. What's that?
Yeah, let me say something about Caden real quick.
Yeah,
so I went to the men's basketball games today, and he was there, and he looked really good. He was having fun. Like, there were probably like 15 or 20 football players there, and he was there having fun, hanging out. Didn't seem to be moving gingerly at all since his surgery. He looked really good.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I was not at the game, but I did watch it, and go Flames, man. Oh, my goodness. I just want to say this one thing before we move on to the UConn game. I love being a Liberty Flames fan, man, right now. It's the greatest thing. It's the greatest choice I've ever chosen when it comes to the sports world of fandoms. Yeah. I know obviously I went there, so it's almost like, I had to choose shout out to Will. Did Liberty win again, as always. So, with that being said, we talked a little bit about it on Twitter Space. And UConn has shocked me. And you guys will be hearing TNT College Football Podcast. Bobby, he's a big UConn guy in the sense of he's had a lot of connections within the program. So I'm going to be having a one-on-one with him after this podcast is over. It's going to be one large podcast, and they're like we talked about on the Twitter Space. And if you weren't there, they're 5-5, and they got 2 games left. One against Army, which, albeit Army is not very good this year. They're definitely not the same Army team as last year. They came into Williams Stadium and beat up on the Flames. But it is an away game, and you bet your bottom dollar that they're going to want to win their 6th win at home against Liberty. That would be huge because we may not be ranked in a certain poll, but we are ranked in 2 polls, and that does matter at number 19. And guess what? There's a lot to play for them. They could win against a ranked team, I think, for the first time in like probably a decade and a half. And then on top of that, be bowl eligible for the first time since I forget the last time they were bowl eligible. I think like 2014, 2013. It's early 2010s. I need to validate that. But it's been a long time. I mean, yeah, the past 3 years, they've won 4 games total. And this year alone, they've won 5. So, this is going to be a huge game for UConn. And here's the promising thing for Liberty. Yes, it's a road game. Yes, it's them battling for their 6th win to be bowl eligible. But they aren't very good at passing. They have a very low pass per game average, passing yardage per game average. I think it's like 106-ish, right around in that territory. But they do have a very good run game. But guess who also said that they had a very good run game? Arkansas. And we had a ton of not luck, but a ton of success against that run game this past Saturday. So there is hope out of this. And Jeremiah, I know you're like a UConn expert, right? So you're going to go up first.
Yeah.
What do you expect out of this game? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know everything about the University of Connecticut. What are you talking about? Love that.
Yeah, it's Jeremiah's favorite part of Canada.
Exactly. Love that. No, I have a little bit of concern about this game. As I mentioned before in the space, I definitely think this is a trap game because, like you said, they're going to be wanting to come out and get that 6th win and become bowl eligible. Getting some success out of this season after several seasons of just mediocrity. So I think they're going to want this game bad. That being said, even despite some injuries and some uncertainty with some players, I think that we're going to get it done. I think we're going to go in there. I don't think it's going to be easy by any means, but I think we get it done. I think healthy QB room, hopefully. Whoever's going to be playing, whether that's JB, whether that's Charlie, whether that's Nate, whether that's Caden, whomever, I think they're going to go in there. They're going to play a good game. I think we're going to get what we need out of this, especially the defense. They're continuing to play lights out, and as you mentioned, we can put a lot of pressure on that passing game that's already struggling. And again, like you said about Arkansas, Rocket Sanders, he didn't have the best game. He did pretty well. I mean, he's a great running back. I'm going to give him a shout out. But, we were able to stifle that run game. So I think that being said, we will be able to stifle this game, stifle their offense, and win this game in the end.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut in here and say, like, Rocket coming to the game against Liberty had over 1,000 yards. Mm-hmm. He had 60 against Liberty. So exactly. I think we shut him down pretty well. Also, with UConn, they have not put up more than 28 points all season. Our defense rarely lets up 20. Like, yes, they've done it, but like even against Arkansas, who had like the 13th ranked offense in all of college football coming into this week, they put up 19, and 2 of those were on a block punt that was a safety. Mm-hmm. So I think our defense is up to the job. Obviously, they have to show up. They can't allow it to be a trap game. But I think our defense will handily shut down this offense as long as they go in with a prepared game plan and locked in. Offensively, I think something that I'm really looking forward to is hopefully seeing TJ Green like actually get a chance.
Yes.
With Day out, it's the perfect opportunity to get him involved in the run game. Like, let Shedro have the workload. Like, let him have it 20 times. But let TJ Green get 10 to 15 carries. Like, let him have it. Yeah, he's coming off an injury and he hasn't done much this year, but it's because he hasn't had the carries. I think he has like 15 carries on the year. So let him work, especially against a defense that's not of the greatest tier. Like, they've let up over 40, like I think twice, over 30 a lot. So like let him have it. And then obviously I think with the run game that we have, we'll still do well, and I do think JB is going to play well. The receivers are really locked in. DeMario, the last couple of weeks, has been playing out of his mind. Even last week, he had 7 catches for 145 yards and a touchdown. So, like, I think with the way the receivers are playing and complementary football with the run game, as JB's getting into a groove, I think this Liberty team should be able to win handily. But yes, they have to come in prepared because this could very well be a trap game.
Kyle, my man, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything everybody's been saying. Like, this is textbook trap game in terms of like what you're looking for. Coming off of a big game, looking forward to an in-state rival, coming to the Mountain for the first time, at least to my knowledge. We know Virginia Tech wants revenge, but they look very beatable. So really easy to get focused on next week. And that's really a trap game isn't when you're playing a team that can beat you. It's when you get focused on a team that you're not playing and the team that you are playing beats you because of it. So in that regard, like, this is a classic textbook definition of a trap game. That being said, I don't expect it to be a problem. Coach Freeze has that locker room eating out of the palm of his hand. And I don't think he's going to let it be a problem. I just don't think he is. And I think our team stacks up particularly well against UConn. What we do well, what they do well. I think, we win this game. We win this game 9 times out of 10 at least. They're giving up an average of 384 yards per game in combined offense, and they're only racking up 293. And not one of those games is against a defense as good as ours. So I think we should, by and large, kind of have our way in this game. Like I said, they're also giving up 140 yards rushing, and 244 passing. So, this, like I said, lines up with very much the way that we want to play offense and what we want to do. I think our defense feasts. I'm trying to remember. I had the number pulled up in front of me. How many sacks? I think they have given up 17 sacks on the year so far.
Our defense has 34.
Our defense has 34, including 4 against an SEC offensive line last week. Another 14 tackles for a loss in addition to that. So I expect the defense to feast. I expect the offense to be able to get it done. I think that's about as far as about as much analysis as really needs to be offered here.
I do want to real quick interject and give a shout out to Coach Freeze. I'm going to quote Coach Freeze: "Don't give in to the rat poison." I agree with everything you just said. I do. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be close for a little bit. Then I think we pull away, but don't give in to the rat poison.
Look, all I know is I don't have to play Saturday. I just get to watch.
Yep.
Jeremiah, what is your prediction since you're already giving out your prediction?
Man, come on. You're going to hit me with that just off the cuff? There's no warning whatsoever? Really? Come on, man. Oh, man. Shoot. Okay.
Riveting radio here.
Well, since I had 0 time to prepare, did you just dab on me? Anyways, let's see. Throwing it out there, I'm just going to throw out some numbers. I'm going to say, let's go 38-14 Flames.
Solid. James, what is your prediction, my friend?
Yeah, They seem to like UConn in their losses seem to put up like anywhere from 12 to 14 points. They've got a loss at 12 with 12. They actually have a win with 13 because they only let up 3 points, and then they've got 2 losses with 14. So I'm going to say they're going to score 13. I think they're going to score a field goal early and some points in garbage time because I think we're going to run away with this one. I think it's going to be 48 to 13.
Kyle.
I like that. I'm going to point out one thing before I get to my pick. We've got one team we've both played. It's UMass. In case you forgot, we put up 42 on them. UConn only managed 27. I think probably the worst defense we've played all year. So I'm thinking I really think our defense is gonna have a really good night. I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 8 sacks, plus a couple of interceptions. I think it's going to be a very good night. So my prediction is going to be, I'm a little bit more modest. I think our defense may struggle a little bit more than James thinks, but I also apparently think our defense is better than both of you think. So my prediction is 38-9 Liberty.
I like it.
And almost all of those 9 come in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say that they get 1 touchdown in the fourth, get 1 maybe second quarter, then 1 in the fourth.
Yeah.
But I like that better.
I think it's going to be UConn scores 7 points on their first drive.
Nah.
And then 31-10 for the rest of the game. That's mine.
Okay.
So
31-10 for the rest of the game, or that's the final score? So like 17,
that's the final score.
31-17 or 31-10?
Yeah, 31-10. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Good catch there.
Thank you for the clarification there, Kyle.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah, the reason why we're getting the prediction out of the way in the UConn is because obviously we're going to talk about it even more with Bobby. I'm going to be able to hear a little bit more, and you guys will get to hear a little bit more about the UConn team. But some ranking came out this afternoon, and it's been all over Liberty Twitter.
Before we get to that, I did want to mention one other thing. Just a small prediction. Mm-hmm. Special teams points. I think we get special teams points in this game. They're giving up 22 yards on average per kickoff, and 12 on average per punt. I think we break one loose and take it to the house.
Yeah,
DeMario
or Shedra, because Shedra tends to return a lot of kickoffs. And then I like Kyle's prediction of 5 to 8 sacks. I see us getting at least 6. I think we're going to be 40 sacks total in this season after this week.
Okay, so there's this poll that came out tonight, and I appreciate you guys about talking about more predictions and stuff. And we're not ranked in the college football playoff. And to quote General Palpatine from the Star Wars series, Kyle, do it.
You got the bleep button ready? It's going to get some heavy use here. Just kidding.
Just mute your cuss words that you say.
I saved that for the timeline. This is ridiculous. There are 25 teams in the college football playoff top 25, and we have a better record than 13 of them. 13 of them.
Yep.
If I just sat you down and told you, hey, I'm just going to tell you, there's a team out here that is 8-1, and their one loss comes by 1 point to Wake Forest. If that is an ACC team, if that is a Sun Belt team, if it is an AAC team, if it's a Conference USA team, I don't care who it is, they're ranked in the college football playoff poll. It's that simple, and this is bullshit. Sorry.
Yeah. And if you told me at the beginning of the year with this schedule that we beat Arkansas, BYU, lose to Wake Forest by 1 point, and all the chaos going on with Kansas being good again, Kansas State being really good, and like all this other crazy stuff, Texas is supposedly back in their minds, and you're like, whoa, this is crazy. If you sat me down at the beginning of the year and said, the results are going to happen, and you're 8-1, and you're 19. I'm like, no, we got to be at least 24 or 23 in the college football playoff, right? Nope, not at all. And their excuses from the committee's council, I think it was president that Heather Dinich put out, and that Nick Pierce also asked the council man, Jeremiah, put it out there.
Yes. Okay. It says Liberty fans. Yeah, no, it says Liberty fans. This is for you. This is a tweet. Liberty fans, this is for you. ... Quote, there was a good deal of discussion around Liberty and the win over Arkansas this past week. Strength of schedule does play into it. Close loss to Wake Forest. As we're looking and evaluating everything, we want to make sure that we get the right the right 25 teams.
What is Come on.
All right. So, like, with that statement and their statement on the show about them saying wins matter, prove it, you fools. Prove it. We are 8-1. If wins matter, we have 8 of them in 9 games. Why are we not ranked? If you're saying you want the right 25 and wins matter, and we just beat an SEC team, we lost to an ACC team that's, are they 6-3, 7-2? I don't know, but we lost to them by 1.
Yeah.
Why are we not ranked? That is some bull crap.
Hey, Kyle.
I mean, 7-2 UCF is ranked 22. And we're not ranked. You know who they lost to? They lost to ECU and Louisville. Their best win comes against Cincinnati. Fine, good win. But that's not the Cincinnati of last year.
No, not at all.
That's their only ranked win this season.
Hey, Kyle, give me the same energy earlier. Tell me how many teams are ahead of us with a worse record? One more time.
13. There are 13 teams in the college football playoff rankings that have a worse win-loss record than we do. Now, some of those teams are Alabama. Some of those teams deserve to be ranked even with a worse record than we do. But not all of them. Not all 13 of the damn teams.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like look at Notre Dame.
You're going to have some work to do on this one, Ben.
Look at Notre Dame. Yes, they just smacked Clemson. They should be ranked. But should they be ahead of us? I don't think so. I still don't think so. They have some horrible losses. They lost to Marshall. How are they ranked ahead of a one-loss Liberty team whose only loss is by 1 to Wake Forest?
Yep. I agree. Yeah, and another thing with that as well is, it's always beat Coastal. It's always beat Coastal. Don't get me wrong. But Coastal also has the same loss as Notre Dame as well. So I have to shout that out to them. So if that says anything, if you're not ranking Coastal, but you're ranking Notre Dame, I get it. Notre Dame has had 2 great wins, but here's the thing. I think the only great win out of all of them is truly Clemson. I think Syracuse has been a fraud for a while. Yeah. And I am not afraid to say that because I will say this. Because I'm on rant mode right now. So since I'm on rant mode, I can have my biases put to the forefront. I'm not a big Syracuse fan. I think Dino Babers is a great coach, but I've always thought they were, whenever they come around, they have the worst fans in the world. They're like, oh, we don't show up to the games when we're decent, but when we're really good, we sell out the Dome. Trust me, growing up not too far from there is why I have those biases. With that being said, I think the worst part about these rankings is Kentucky, actually. I think Kentucky's got really, being, that's one of the worst parts that we haven't touched on. They've had 2 good losses, but they've also had a terrible loss to Tennessee. And I know Tennessee's a top 5 team, but it's a bad one. It's a bad one.
They got smacked.
They got ran out of.
I'm gonna need you to explain to me how loss versus South Carolina is a good loss.
Yeah, South Carolina's pretty bad.
Oh yeah. That's one of the not good losses. You're right. Yeah, South Carolina, and don't get me wrong, South Carolina's had a very good team. They've only really had one bad loss themselves. South Carolina has, which was slipping the mind here. South Carolina. I was just looking at the schedule. That's why I was looking, oh yeah, Kentucky lost to South Carolina, but why is South Carolina not ranked? Oh yeah, because of this loss.
They lost to Mizzou, they lost to UGA, they lost to Arkansas.
Mizzou was a pretty bad loss.
Mizzou was a bad loss.
Yeah,
Arkansas wasn't bad. Yeah. So Yeah. So, yeah.
Look,
With that being said,
I just
terrible.
think this is ridiculous. It's just patently absurd. Like
Yep, for sure.
it's a middle finger to the group of 5 every single season. Every single season they do this crap. It took Cincinnati 2 years of being great to make it even close to the college football playoff. And yeah, they kind of got blown out a little bit by Alabama, but a lot better teams get blown out by Alabama. Like powerhouses get blown out by Alabama. It's like it is absolutely ridiculous. It just goes to show that even today, after all the nonsense, after all the happy talk about expanding the playoffs and trying to make the group of 5, feel like they're a part of the league, feel like they're a part of the system, they don't care. They don't care. They don't respect any power group of 5 team. If you're not a power 5, if you are a middling team in a power 5 conference, you're going to get more serious looks with a worse record than Liberty is, sitting at 8-1, 1 point away from being 9-0.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think with the committee, they should also take in fact when it comes to like strength and schedule, like when it comes to non-conference games, you can't control how good those teams are going to be. You can't control any of them, but you of course you're going to play the same conference teams if you've been in a conference for long, so you're going to kind of have some type of expectations. But like, for example, like Cincinnati last year, they had to beat Notre Dame and Indiana just to get in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of losses for them to get there. They stomped teams. In what was considered at the time the best G5 conference, which I still think even this year it is. With all that being said,
There are two 1-loss teams in all of FBS, us and Coastal, that are not in the top 25.
Yeah, I
That's
saw that
wrong.
tweet as well. Yep.
That's
And
wrong.
And the
here's
difference,
thing, we have a better resume by far than Coastal.
Oh, yeah.
That's not intentional disrespect to Coastal because they're our rival. That's just truth.
yeah, like their one loss was a blowout loss to ODU, who's 3-6, and we beat by 28.
With our third string quarterback.
Quarterback.
Grayson McCall, who, again, I think Grayson McCall is the best quarterback in G5, in my opinion, when it comes to pro talent. I really do believe that. And so I have all the respect for Grayson McCall, but he played like garbage against ODU.
Yeah.
And JB, Liberty's third string quarterback, balled out against ODU.
Well, ODU, Caden played the first half and JB played the second.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, either way,
but he still.
But he still
put up great numbers.
JB still played great in the second half, and Caden played great in the first half, and Caden is technically our second string.
And it was a road game too, so it's not like this was at Williams Stadium, where they're in their comfort zone, where they could sleep in their own. I know they don't sleep in their own dorms, but they could sleep in Lynchburg, and they don't have to take a bus trip.
Yep. And I mean, like I said, it's the disrespect that's frustrating, and not just disrespect for Liberty, disrespect for all of the group of 5.
Yeah.
The group of 5 gets treated like punching bags year in, year out for the Power 5, and gets no respect from the CFP when they do well. None. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's all the more reason that it was important to have the guaranteed spot in the playoff. Yep. That is the only reason. The only reason I think the group of 5 should even bother sticking around in the NCAA.
Yeah, or not creating their own playoff, And that's the thing. That's another reason why, again, I'm pro Conference USA, because let's get into a conference, because guess what? They're the only ones that wanted us, unfortunately. But that will change. Guess what? This isn't forever with Conference USA.
Oh, yeah.
This is important to get into this, because then you have consistent opponents, and you kind of have that. And, yeah, it's still going to be difficult to make the college football playoff. Don't get me wrong. But here's the thing. Then you have at least a chance to get that 12th spot, like Kyle just mentioned. And that's another thing is, independent, by most standards, there's 12, not 8.
It's going to be 12,
yeah. They expanded to 12, yeah. So here's the thing. It's at the end of the day, independence isn't considered group of 5. Hence why, BYU, for example, wouldn't be able to earn that spot. That's why they moved on to a conference, And Notre Dame, the only reason why they've made the playoff is because they're essentially an ACC team that gets the respect by tradition to remain an independent. That's the thing. They get ACC bowl tie-ins and everything. So they're a extremely like rare case and anomaly, if I'm saying that, anomaly.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah, anomaly in the sense of independence in college football. So that's why it's so important to get into this. And yes, and here's the thing, this is a great schedule. But I will say what did draw us back, even though we won, has been the fact that we had to play UMass, Akron, Gardner-Webb, and ODU's not helping. UAB, like, what's up with them, And then Southern Miss getting blown out by Georgia State. Albeit, we won. So those are expected wins. We're supposed to win those games. All that matters is the W at the end of the scoreboard, not the score itself, So we won those games, don't get me wrong. But what we can also say is we have an SEC road win and a great win at home that was a blowout against a very solid BYU team who could still be bowl eligible by the end of the season. They just beat a very good Boise State team on the road. So I don't know. Make it make sense. I don't get it. I really don't. But, I'm just trying to make up some type of sense of what doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm going to go along the same lines as Kyle has been saying. Like, Tulane, who is one of the only, there are only two group of 5 teams in, and it's Tulane and UCF, right? Tulane, who's the highest ranked at 17, their best win is against Kansas State. And Kansas State is only 2 behind them with 3 losses.
And you know who the loss was to? Southern Miss.
Yes. That's an insult to Tulane because Tulane beat Kansas State, and now they're only 2 places ahead of them, and they have 3 losses. Come on. That's another insult to the group of 5. What is this?
Yep. Look, I'm just going to say this. If Liberty wins this week, which we should, UCF and Tulane play each other this week. One of them has to lose. If Liberty's not in, if we win this week, that is absolutely just outrageously ridiculous. There's no tweet explanation for that you can even have pass logical muster. Yeah. It's nothing more than just garbage from the CFP again.
Yeah. It's just so bad right now.
Yeah.
Well, and Liberty deserved to be ranked in the CFP in 2020. That is a fact. That is a fact I will take to my grave.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got that all aired out, but Jeremiah has to get going. So we're going to have to wrap this up. And I appreciate you guys for airing your grievances. That's why this podcast is here. Stuff like this. I love to hear from you guys. You guys are the best. Again, big game coming up this week. CBS Sports Network, 12 o'clock at UConn. Go Flames, and God bless.
Go Flames and the committee.
Exactly.